struggling to come to grips with reality. Confusion and chaos have become part of me. I seek answers to know where my liberation lies. Only in peace and calmness does that clarity arise. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. So many voices, so many interpretations. No answers given, only outer temptations. Where can I find that truth inside of me? Realization of what I am is all I'm wanting to see. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmissions. The wisdom transmissions. No more redirection, ending the contemplation. Forget fighting reflection, outer worlds of projection. Internal is the cause, external's an effect, put it on pause. I'm silencing the noise, centering, entering void. Truth is beautifully subtle, the voice without a voice. Heart and mind shall settle, making decisions now, escaping illusions of choice. Transmissions of wisdom bring me insights of reason. Let my mind expand to the higher states. My mortality is no longer at stake. Let me hear the wisdom transmission. The wisdom transmissions.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Wisdom Transmissions. Let me just see if I can turn this light down a bit. There we go. Put too much glare there. All right. So welcome to the next episode today. Today is going to be a little bit of a different episode because I'm going to be talking about the Trauma Transcendence Technique Book. Okay, so this is now available on pretty much just everywhere, worldwide. So that's the great thing about this new book. You can actually even find it in libraries as well too. The Trauma Transcendence Technique. So I do have a special offer going on, which I'm going to talk to here in about a minute. But this is the first book I've created again in about 10 years. The last book I made was Reality Whisperer. I think that was back in like 2014, 2015. And now the Trauma Transcendence Technique Book is here. And I think you'll like it because it's a lot of it is in big print. So it's very good. It's only about 200 pages, okay? And it complements the 10-day free e-course that we have on the Wisdom Transmissions website, right? So when you go to wisdomtransmissions.com, you look on the nav bar, you'll see the free e-course. That's the 10-day Trauma Transcendence Technique. Okay, 10 days worth of videos, 10 days worth of instructions, and of course now we have the book to go along with it. Now I have some other good news as well too, is I'm going to be creating another app. Okay, so I've created the RAYD8 app last year, looking at the RAYD8.app or RAYD8app.com. But I'm now going to start creating a brand new app starting in late June, because I'm going to be creating a crowdfunding campaign. And the crowdfunding campaign is going to pay for a brand new app that's called Breath Guru. Okay, now Breath Guru is going to have a lot of stuff in it. What are the free things that Breath Guru is going to have is it's going to have the Trauma Transcendence Technique available in the app, which means we will have an app for the Trauma Transcendence Technique. You'll be able to go on the app, you'll be able to do all the exercises that's included with the Trauma Transcendence Technique. You'll be learning about all the breath work, the stances that we do, helping to make sure that you're doing a correct stance, working together with the several different types of breath work that we're doing, and actually going through the process, actually being able to create an energy ball on screen and being able to see it get shrunk down as you do the exercises on through Trauma Transcendence Technique on the app. Now, the app is also going to feature a lot more other things. Some of it is also going to include more pranayama techniques, guided meditations as well. We're also going to have like a type of AI guru on it at the same time. So you can actually talk about spiritual phenomena with the AI that I'm going to be designing pretty much just after myself, right? So there's going to be like a type of AI agent that is going to be on Breath Guru at the same time, that has a lot of my knowledge and other extended knowledge as well too, that you'll be able just to talk to and get interaction with. So that's going to be really, really cool. So this is going to be happening in late June. June 28th is going to be our official crowdfunding date for Breath Guru to get this app created, as I'm going to be developing a team to put together this app. And then again, like I said, as soon as you get the app, and if you just want the free version where you can do Trauma Transcendence Technique, you can do basic pranayama, and you can have some of the basic guided meditations, and you can try like a free trial with the AI chatbot as well too, that will be available. And then of course the premium version, just like RAYD8, will have more features to it as well. So I'm looking forward to that. That is going to be happening June 28th. So as we get closer to June, I'll be talking more about the Breath Guru app. It's going to be really, really exciting. So again, another thing, when we get to announcements here, oops, let me see if I can turn my thing on here. I guess it's not working. Okay, I guess that's not kicking in. That's weird. All right, well anyways, if you go to wisdomtransmissions.com, you'll find that there is a, let me just refresh my page here. That should be coming up. I'm not sure why it's not coming up. Okay. All right, so here we go. So here's the Trauma Transcendence Technique. So you'll find if you go to wisdomtransmissions.com, I'm just not too sure why it's not doing that through the announcements. That's a little bit weird. Just give me a sec here, guys, just so I can find out what's going on here. There we go. Okay, that's better. I'm already getting glitches here. So if you go to wisdomtransmissions.com, you scroll down, you'll find the main page here, Trauma Transcendence Technique, the newest book, and we just click on this button here, and that will take us to the special offer page. So here's the special offer that I want to offer everybody here today, is that now that this is available on Amazon, like I said, you can go to amazon.ca, amazon.com, amazon.co.uk, amazon.com/AU, right, Australia, wherever Amazon is in your country. If you purchase the printed book, the paperback version, all you have to do is that once you get the receipt in the email, just forward that receipt to me. As you forward that receipt to my email, which it explains here in the article here, right under special offer, you'll see my link there for Brad Johnson's email. You just click on that and then just attach your receipt, send it to me. Within 24 hours, I will be sending you a free PDF and EPUB version of the Trauma Transcendence Technique book. Okay, so while you're waiting for your paperback book to come into the mail and it's being sent to you, then you can just forward your receipt to me, and then I will send you a PDF and EPUB version of the Trauma Transcendence Technique, absolutely free for you. Okay, so that's my special offer. It's available until May 31st. So you'll be able to get the digital version for me. You don't have to go onto Kindle to download. If you like Kindle and you want to get it there, that's fine. But if you want to get it from me, EPUB version, PDF version, just do this. Just go into the special offer, forward me your email, right? So you'll always get an email. Make sure you check your junk and your spam, of course. Forward that to me, and I will give you the free digital copy in PDF and EPUB form. Okay? So, like I said, this is only lasting to the end of the month, so it's good to act fast. When you go down to the Trauma Transcendence Technique book, you'll see the links here for the Amazon websites, okay, from the USA, Canada, UK, and Australia. Of course, there's a lot more. But actually, I would say that the people that watch me quite commonly are from those 4 countries, right? Most of my viewers are American. Second would be from the UK. Third would be Canadian. Fourth would be Australian. Those are the top 4 on my channel as I've looked at the stats. So that's why I put those 4 out on that page. So again, this took quite a bit of work doing the Trauma Transcendence Technique book. Like I said, there's a lot of details in the book that are not contained in the course. Okay, so this book and the 10-day e-course are meant to go hand in hand. I think I'm going to just turn this off because it's going to be way too blurry. There we go. So these are meant to go hand in hand. So again, this is why I recommend, if you've been doing the Trauma Transcendence Technique, and a lot of you have, I've been getting quite a lot of emails from you guys. I've even gotten testimonials from you saying about the Trauma Transcendence Technique, how it's changing your life. Fantastic. That's exactly why I want you to keep doing it. Okay, and now you have a guidebook that works together with it. And then in the next couple of months, you're going to have a free app that's going to go with it, right? Of course, that Breath Guru is going to have other things, but it has the Trauma Transcendence Technique, and everything regarding the Trauma Transcendence Technique on that app will be completely free, okay? You do not have to pay for the Trauma Transcendence Technique when I develop Breath Guru, okay? With that, that's completely free for everybody, okay? We will have a premium plan, but that's for extra features, extra knickknacks, and so forth on the app. So, it's going to be really, really exciting. I'm so happy that this, but the funny thing is this came in the mail just yesterday. Now it's wondering, where's my book? This actually took a couple of weeks. I had to order it directly from Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is the publishing company that I use, okay? And so it took a couple of weeks for this finally to arrive, and it just came in the mail yesterday. It's like, oh, perfect timing, especially if I want to get Trauma Transcendence Technique rolled out here today. So I'm very happy to offer my 3rd self-published book. The first one was Rainbow Wisdom. Second one was Reality Whisperer. Third one here is Trauma Transcendence Technique. I'm not counting my books from Japan. Okay, my Japanese books were through Voice Publishing, and they're in Japanese. So, and I didn't write them. I just brought Adronis in, and Adronis started chatting, and they transcribed it and all. So I do have books in Japan, but those are different. This is my 3rd self-published book. So again, please feel free to take advantage of this offer. Go on to Amazon right now. Go ahead and grab your copy of the Trauma Transcendence Technique. Let's try and make this a high sell, right? Let's try and get this up the rankings there. Because if we get this up to the rankings, more and more people can benefit from the Trauma Transcendence Technique. So all of you who are watching today, if you're watching this right now, I highly urge you, go to wisdomtransmissions.com, go to that announcement. All right, remember the special offer. Then go to your respected Amazon, wherever you are in your country. Grab the paperback book. Send me the email. I'll send you the free digital copies. Let's try and get Trauma Transcendence Technique up there. Okay, if we get this up there, more people are being aware of this, and they're going to be able to work on healing themselves. Okay, and like I said, so many of you have contacted me and said, Brad, Trauma Transcendence Technique is very simple. It's very straightforward. I'm working with the 10 days worth of the videos. I just can't thank you enough. It's really changed my life. Don't we want that for other people? Okay, and this is what we're doing here. Okay, so of course the book costs a little bit of money. It's not that expensive. Okay, but it's meant to go hand in hand with the course because the course is free. Okay, the app is going to be free for Trauma Transcendence Technique. So there's a lot more stuff coming down the pipe. All right, so let's move on to the next set of announcements here. And that is for Etherics. Right now we have 35% off select products. That's our in-house products, it is available till tomorrow. Okay, so we have 35% off select products, but we also have some bundles available. And by that, I mean if I'm looking, for example, at, let me see if I can pull it up here. I have to scroll down a bit. If I'm looking directly at the Ankh, okay, so this is the attunement Ankh that is 3D printed, right? It comes with ground crystal, and it's inserted directly into the Ankh. It's very powerful. I even did a video on this not too long ago about how the Ankh was able to preserve prana within the corner of a room. And we actually have a salt cure there. And the Ankh was actually helping to delay the hardening, that crystallization of the salt that is caused by rancid prana, right? Ankhs are able to do that. So this is a very powerful tool just by itself. So now you can get a 50% discount by ordering both an Etherics Attunement Ankh and the Etherics Manifestation Wheel together with a 50% discount, okay? So that's awesome. That's a heck of a deal. And of course, there is also our jewelry that is available at the same time. You can go to our jewelry page. If you go to the Taurus necklaces, these things are hot sellers as well too. You scroll down and you can get the bracelet and the Taurus donut necklace for 40% off, okay? So these are bundles that are available on Etherics right now at the same time. So check that out. Again, all the in-house shipping products are 35% off until tomorrow evening. And then, of course, we also have the print-on-demand bed kits. We have the thermoses here, the tumblers. We have the new car seat covers. We have the floor covers seats for the vehicle. We got apparel as well too. The bed kits. All of this is free shipping. You do not have to pay any shipping at all. It's all included in the price. Okay, so you can check that out. Etherics.co. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started with today's broadcast, where we're going to do a little bit of a cryptocurrency mini update. So the reason why I've been doing some videos on cryptocurrency, because a lot of you ask me about it, right? I know a lot of you are crazy about cryptocurrency, but I indulge where people want me to look at things, right? Especially if I get a lot of people saying, Brad, what about cryptocurrency? What about Bitcoin? What about Ethereum? What about XRP, etc.? What's going on there, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? So that's why I did that part 1 and part 2 video, to get you the idea of how these particular cryptos are working and how we're utilizing different types of ancient sciences to discover this, right? So we're working with ancient numerology, we're working with astrology, we're working with tarot, and I'm working with the Akashic records. So I combine those together to get information to see exactly how a company is doing, okay? But May and June right now seem to be like a good time for a lot of the crypto itself, okay? Not for every single one, but some of the big players. And that's really what I'm looking at today, is just some of the big players. So I'm looking into 3 other particular types of cryptocurrencies. The other 3 types of cryptocurrencies I'm looking at today is number 1. One of them is called Chainlink. The other one is called Avalanche. And the other one is called BNB, just capital B, capital N, capital B, okay? These 3 are also major players. They actually have very high-priced coins on the crypto market right now. So we're going to take a brief look at this. I'm not going to spend as much time as I did with the other ones, okay? So again, if you want to find out more about that, you can go to the cryptocurrency momentum videos, part 1 and part 2, on my YouTube channel if you want to look a little bit more into that. But really what I'm showing you guys is the power of the ancient sciences, to see that we're actually putting forward some predictions for how these particular forms of coins will do. And as we get into the end of June, we can always look back and see how they've done, okay? As I've said, 2026 to 2028 can represent a very strong time for cryptocurrency, okay? It's a shooting up, so to speak, because this is going to gain more and more momentum, especially with Trump, as he's looking to make the United States a stronghold for cryptocurrency. It's going to shoot the market up big time, and that momentum is going to last quite some time. There still will be some fluctuations in the market as we get to 2026, 2027, 2028. Okay, those cryptocurrencies are still going to have some bad days, but altogether it's going to be improving a lot more. I think there's going to be a lot more improvement than there is debilitation. So let's take a look at Chainlink, okay? When we look at Chainlink, if we're looking in a numerological level with it, its life path number is an 11, which means this is a master number. Okay, so it has a lot of potential to it, and it's actually doing quite well on the crypto market. On an animal element level, if we're looking at Chinese Bazi, it is a yin fire rooster. Okay, this is the visionary messenger. It's a high vibe path. It's idealistic, innovative, and designed to uplift the collective through intuitive knowledge. Chainlink was born to bridge worlds, blockchain to real world data, and that's literally its mission. The 11 path screams spiritual tech, meant to awaken the system or collapse under its own pressure if it chases profit over purpose. Okay, so Chainlink is a different kind of cat when we're looking at cryptocurrency altogether. When we look at its yin fire rooster capability, it is strategic, it is detail obsessed, it is flashy, but it is also analytical. This is a smarter than you energy. Rooster plus fire, bold announcements, tech flexing, and some drama under pressure. Okay, so that's the rooster. It's kind of like it wants to flex its muscles, and it has that detail obsession with it, right? It's very analytical, which is great. That's exactly what you want for people that are running a cryptocurrency. You want analytics, you want detail, you want attention to detail. The May cycle. So where we are right now in the month of May, if we're looking at 5 plus 1, right, the 5 month plus the first day, that equals out to 6. It's responsibility, communication, and stabilization. If we're looking at the June cycle, June plus 1, June 1st, 2025, or just looking at June and the number 1 equals out to 7. Reflection, analysis, and retreat. So what is the May outlook for Chainlink? A strong window for partnerships, community focus, and integration efforts. Chainlink's rooster precision pairs well with a 6 months nurturing structure. Expect collaborative announcements, but possibly with a perfectionist delay. Okay, so this is again just what numerology and Chinese Bazi is saying. We are going to do some tarot on this here very shortly. June outlook is a little bit slower. The 7 energy pulls inwards. It's introspection, security audits, and tech deep dives. The rooster may overanalyze or hesitate. This is refinement, not expansion. Volatility possible if overthinking kills momentum. Okay, so it's best for tech upgrades and back-end development for these next 2 months. Caution, don't stall or ghost the market while perfecting. Okay, so let's take a look at just how May and June will be for Chainlink. For those of you who are invested in Chainlink, or those of you who want to look into getting Chainlink. Okay, let's take a look at what is in store. And like I said, I'm not going to spend as much time with this as I usually do with the other videos. We're just going to look at this quickly through them for May and June for Chainlink. Okay, so what I can see with Chainlink is right now it's starting to get a lot more notice, so it's getting some good press. The next step, though, I feel like it's going to get some hits. Okay, there's some 3 of Swords here, so this is telling me that there's going to be some setbacks, I think, when we go into the next steps. I feel like there may also be some maybe betrayal or heartbreak, or maybe there's some things happening behind the scenes where maybe someone's not holding up their end of the bargain, and it feels like there may be some kind of left high and dry, while the owner of Chainlink or the staff of Chainlink are trying to pick up the mess. When we go into the obstacles, we basically have the Ace of Pentacles, but it's in an obstacle position. Okay, so this may be that it's lacking that ability to go very, very high. I think it's going to do well on a stability level, but I think it still needs a lot of, it's kind of like what I said with some of the other coins. You need to tighten the screws. You need to hammer in the nails. Okay, and I think that's happening with this as well too. When we're looking at the strengths and resources, Page of Wands, this is a very young company. They're still just trying to cut their teeth in the market. I think they need a little bit more time to kind of perfect their design with what they want to do with Chainlink, but I think it has a pretty good future to it. We have the moon here in regards to the potential outcome, which means they have to clear some of the fog. There's some stuff here where they want to get the company out very strongly, but I think that there's some things that they're not seeing, right? There's some illusions, there's some deceptions within maybe their marketing plan or within their action plan. Feels like they still have to iron out some details altogether as we go through May and June. For those of you who are interested in Chainlink, they're a good potential company, but right now they have to shake loose a lot of the flaws that they're going through right now. Okay, let's go on now to Avalanche. Avalanche is the next crypto we're going to briefly look at. So Avalanche, life path is 7. It's the seeker of truth. Avalanche has a mystical number. It's number 7. It's intellectual, analytical, and obsessed with underlying systems. This number is a loner archetype, favoring deep logic, inner wisdom, and mastery of structure over fame. Avalanche isn't trying to be loud, it's trying to be right. So the animal element is yang, metal, rat. When we look at Chinese Bazi. The vibe, hyper-intelligent, quick-witted, and decisive. Rat plus metal, calculated power. Avalanche has a stealthy, almost military vibe. Moves in silence, but packs devastating execution. This is the tech assassin of the group. Very interesting. How does May look for Avalanche? May outlook is strong push. It's an 8+ Avalanche's metal rat. It's high impact. It's strategic moves. Think major partnerships, money flow, platform expansion. Expect media buzz and assertive positioning. That's good. This is an assertive crypto. June outlook, closure and release. Something old ends or gets phased out. Maybe an old chain or legacy function. However, the rat +9 energy. Global scaling potential if timed right. High emotional and investor sentiment swings possible. Best for major announcements, scaling, and exits. Caution, don't drag unfinished business into July. So we're just kind of getting an idea to see how the company works, because that's the core of these organizations, and we don't want to feel like a company is disorganized, or they don't know what they're doing, or they're getting hit hard by lawsuits or whatever it is. Those are the companies you basically want to avoid. Okay, XRP is a little bit of an exception to the rule, because they're a house of fire. They just smash through everything. So XRP, like I said, has such potential in the market. And when I was getting that reading, I was like, this is confirming exactly what I've been feeling with XRP for quite some time. But whenever you're noticing that there's some other companies that are just getting lost in the woodwork, and they're falling behind, and maybe they're having some legal trouble and all that, I would say it's best to kind of avoid those types of companies altogether until they get their stuff sorted out. Okay, let's take a look here at Avalanche with how its potential is. Okay, well, I'm seeing mostly a better situation, with the exception of maybe somewhere around the time of late June, because I'm seeing the tower for late June. Okay, so that's telling me that there may be some emotional or sentimental implosion. Maybe it's something to do with an investor. Maybe a very big investor backs out with them, who can say. But it feels like there's a tower situation about to hit Avalanche, and I think it's probably around the end of June. Okay, but from what I can see, everything else here for May and for June is very accommodating. It's complementary to what we've talked about here: high impact, strategic moves, getting powerful, bringing about major announcements, and I think that they have the ability to skyrocket themselves a lot more up the crypto market. But as we get to the end of the June, they may curve. Okay, there is some sort of gigantic tower situation that is going to hit them at the end of June, whether it's just something internal or something in press. And then, of course, we have the Four of Cups for the new future after June. So they're going to get hit with some type of blow, right? Whether it's a legal blow, whether it's an investor backing out kind of blow, whatever it may be. They need, again, you've got to tighten your screws. This has seemed to happen for quite a few different cryptocurrency companies, right? Especially a lot of these young guys. They just come in, they want to be a house of fire, and they start off good. But this is the thing. A lot of them don't use the ancient sciences, right? My friends, this is what you should be using for everything in your life. To get to know numerology, to get to know astrology, to work together with the Akashic Records, to work with tarot, to work with the ancient systems. This is not a fly by the seat of your pants world, right? When you start working together with the ancient sciences, and you start working with numerology, you start working with all these ancient systems, you completely refine your life completely, because that's how I live my life, right? And everything is being refined, right? Numerology is the #1 ancient system above anything else. Okay, we have all these different systems. We have astrology, we have feng shui, we have vastu, we have all these different types of systems. They're great. Even if we look at sacred geometry, it's great. but numerology is higher than all of them. Brad, why is numerology higher than all of them? Because number is the highest language in the universe. That is the literal language of the universe. It is number. It is not letter. Okay? Letter comes from number. It is not color. Color comes from number. It is not proportion. Proportion comes from number. Okay? Any of these other things you want to say about geometry, about proportion, about art, about anything, right? It all comes through number. Number is the top, right? That is at the top of the pyramid. Is when you start looking at the power of numbers. Okay, this is why I'm opening up another website called ancientnumbers.com, which works with numerology and works together with astrology and works together with the tarot. Okay, and there'll be reports just like with Predict by Astrology. But astrology is phenomenal, but again, it's number, right? So it's kind of looking at it like this, is that astrology needs numbers, but numbers doesn't need astrology. Okay, and I could say that for anything else. Sacred geometry needs numbers. Numbers does not need sacred geometry. Okay? Everything pertaining to numerology, that is the caveat. That's what's sitting at the top of the pyramid here. That's the capstone, right? Everything pertaining to the power of number. When you start to understand that, you will completely control reality. I can guarantee you that. When you know the power of number, you will completely control reality. It's even what Nikola Tesla would say as well, too. Why do you think he was so much into arithmetic? I wouldn't even say mathematics, but looking into arithmetic, because that reveals everything. Arithmetic, mathematics, yes, the power of number, looking into the energy behind number, looking into the configuration of number, looking into when you were born, the time that you were born, where you were born, right, your life path. All of these particular significances relating to numerology tells you everything about yourself and can tell you everything about everybody else. So this is why it's good to have the ancient sciences. And a lot of these companies don't do it. The richest people in the world don't know jack shit about astrology or numerology at all. And that's why they're going to be rich for a certain time, and they're going to go like this. And the people who may be millionaires, for example, there may be a couple billionaires who are behind the ancient sciences, and they're going to do well because they know exactly when to back out and when to pull forward. The thing you should not be doing is if you are in an enemy year, right? If you are numerologically and through Chinese Bazi in an enemy year, you shouldn't be doing anything that year. Nothing, right? But just riding out your momentum. Because if you start applying new things and new ideas, they're going to fall apart. There's going to be so much resistance behind it that, again, you think it's such an exciting time to do this, and it falls apart. Okay? So this is why I say that you have to know these ancient sciences. You want to get to know them. And I said, not just sticking with astrology. If you go to any ancient science, first and foremost, it should be numerology. Okay? Numerology should be your number one on the list, because numerology is the top dog. It's bigger than all of them, right? That's where you should be starting. So I'm going to be talking more about numerology as we move forward over this next little while. Like I said, that's why I'm creating Ancient Numbers to generate these reports so that you guys are a lot more familiar with numbers together with things like astrology and with the tarot. And that's going to give you some big secrets revealed. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, you work with number, because number is energy, frequency, and vibration. Even frequency, energy, and vibration have to answer to number. That's the key, right? So very interesting, right? All right, let's go ahead and move on to the very last cryptocurrency. Then we're going to go ahead and get into some questions that you guys have. Last one is BNB. It is a life path of 6. It is the steward. This is the provider and protector archetype. It wants to create safety, community, and systems that support others. BNB's job is to hold the house together, and it functions exactly like that, acting as the utility coin that supports the Binance ecosystem. Whether it's paying fees, fueling launches, and or maintaining balances, 6 is the vibrational glue. and its animal element is the yin fire rooster. So it's exact same Basi profile as Chainlink, crazy synchronicity, but here the energy expresses more like leadership in a massive flock. Think empire builder who needs control to feel secure. Also a perfectionist streak. The May outlook for BNB is excellent for launching new initiatives. A 1 cycle in a 5-year equals a revolutionary momentum. Rooster energy gets flashy and aggressive here. BNB could dominate headlines with a new rollout or bold market pivot. The June outlook, all eyes on BNB, spiritual illumination or public crucifixion. This is the 11, okay? This is what we have to understand about numbers, and this is something that even numerologists are very confused about. When you go to a numerologist, they will keep saying that a certain number is positive. Bullshit, okay? Doesn't work that way. This, again, is just more distortion. When we look at the idea of understanding astrology in many different ways, people just want to look at something. There's a malefic and there's a benefic. It doesn't work that way. Okay? It's always polarized. Even when you look at a planet that may be highly benefic, like a Venus or a Jupiter, there can still be some tendencies behind it that can be somewhat malefic, right? And this is the problem with a lot of these modern day teachers, is they just start looking at all of these things like they're all wonderful, and oh, you're getting the 11, and the 11 spiritual illumination, it's togetherness. And no, why do you think there's been a 9/11? That 9/11 has a dual nature to it. When you look at the date 9/11, that could be something that could be highly illuminating or one of the most destructive days on the entire planet. What happened? And so this is where the people say, oh, 11, it was 11, 11s and stuff like that. Yeah, there's that side, and you're right. But there's the other side at the same time that people don't want to look at. So like I said, this is all the fast food, McDonald's BS that a lot of teachers just, maybe they learn it from a book, or they go to an online class, and then the teacher is bogus, and then they start bringing up a bunch of bogus information. And people get a wrong idea of what they think numerology is. And they're unfortunately regurgitating a bunch of nonsense. So when we're looking at the master numbers, when we're looking at the sequence of 1 through 9, yes, there can be a lot of benefit, and there can be a lot of horror. It just depends. It depends on how it's utilized. It depends on how it's synchronized. It's depending also upon the person's mentality about their configurations, right? So there's a lot more to numerology than what we're thinking, right? Of just people think, oh, it's spiritual illumination, 11, gateway opening, etc., etc. Okay, it can be that, but there's also this at the same time. It's the same thing with the number 9, right? The number 9, there's a lot of people who think that, this is about liberating yourself, and this is about transcending yourself, and so forth. It can be, but it can also be the point where you turn into a complete and total psychopath, where you want to basically just burn everything to the ground. Look into some ancient leaders that had the 9 and what they've done, okay? That is not how numerology works. This is wrong teaching. And like I said, you have to look much more deeper into the full spectrum of what the numerology is. And a lot of people just want to go on that hopium ride and just basically ride lightning in a bottle and just say, oh, it's the positive stuff, the positive stuff, the positive stuff. Those people are terrified. Those people are afraid to even look at themselves in the mirror. And numerology is not a construct that is giving you only the bright side of life. You have to look at the dark. And the numerology shows that to you. And we look at the dark to see exactly what we can do to advance ourselves through it, right? Like I said, this is just, and with all respect, all of these teachers that teach these bogus concepts of the ancient sciences are scaredy cats, basically. They're just so inferior. I can't teach people that. That's too negative. We don't want to look at the negative stuff. I'm going to teach this instead. Then you're completely skewing numerology. You're completely skewing astrology. You're completely skewing feng shui, Vastu, all of the great sciences, the ancient sciences of man that have stood the test of time and that will continue to stand the test of time past these modern science garbage is being skewed. So you want to honor the nature of looking at the duality pertaining to this, because that's how we learn from it. That's how we advance a lot more. Okay, let's do a final look here just on BNB through the tarot pertaining to May and June, because right now it looks pretty good. But let's see what the tarot says about it. Well, like I said, there's rises and falls here. So for BNB, it has a good start. It's kind of like it's going quick out of the gate. It's doing well. It has a lot of potential to do well. I think this one will shoot up the crypto market pretty quickly. Okay, so we got the Ace of Pentacles right there. Okay, there's an obstacle in the way though. So here we go. This is the second crypto that also has the Three of Swords. Okay, so we got some heartbreak. Maybe we got some betrayal behind the scenes. Maybe we got, again, somebody bailing out. Okay, and then we have the Strength and Resources. Again, this has a real good grasp on the market. BNB has a really good grasp on the market. Whatever their situation pertaining to the Three of Swords are, I think that they will recover pretty quickly, and it feels like that's a confirmation. They're going to rebound. Okay, they're going to get hit with something unsettling, but they're going to be able to get through it because they do have a strong foundation on the market. So I think things are going to look pretty well, but I think this coin has a good capacity to shoot upwards in the crypto markets. Okay, that's BNB. All right, so there we go. That is the mini report I wanted to do that I promised you guys that I would do. That's kind of the part 3 right there. So there you go. So that takes care of that. Let's go ahead and move on into some questions now. So again, we'll take some Q&A from the audience. Just a reminder, everybody, please no personal questions in the Q&A. Okay, if you do have personal questions, this is where it's good for you to do a session with me. Got several different sessions available on wisdomtransmissions.com. Particularly if many of you, and I'm sorry guys, I think my camera's a bit blurry today. I'm not too sure what's going on there. But particularly if you have healing questions, I'm happy to answer them. But like I said, I'm not performing any healing through the webcast today. Okay, please go to Trauma Transcendence Technique. Please look at the white light breath. Okay, those are 2 things that I recommend highly. And if you have exhausted all options, right, and you're not too sure what to do, what is the gesture that I say you do? What's this? That is the intervention fleet's symbol. Okay, left hand, letter L, right hand, slash over the L. Okay, that is the intervention fleet symbol. I'm just doing this while you're meditating. Okay, but like I said, you only utilize that as a last resort, not a first one. Okay, last resort, intervention fleets coming in, helping you out. Had so many of you contact me. Brad, the intervention fleets have come to see me. Yes, the intervention fleets are helping me. Exactly, they will. They most definitely will. If you've exhausted all options, and if you are truly seeing them as the last resort, then that's what you do. But they want to encourage you as well too. Please make sure you're doing your work. And if you've done that, you don't know where to turn, you're going crazy, you're going stir crazy, and you don't know what to do, intervention fleets, come and find me. Speaking of that, I've had Dr. Michael Sala contact me, okay, and we're going to do a podcast together. Okay, so Dr. Michael Sala from Exopolitics has just emailed me recently and wants to do a podcast with me. Wonderful. I've always enjoyed Michael Sala's work, so I'm happy to talk to him. I think we're going to have a really great conversation. We're currently working on a date right now, so I will keep you guys in the know of when Dr. Michael Sala and I will be on that podcast. It's going to be awesome. Okay, just give me a minute here, guys. I'm just going to see if I can try and fix up my camera here. It's being a little bit weird. Let's see here. Okay, that's the reason it went back to autofocus. Okay. So yes, like I said, I've talked to Michael before. We had a little conversation just about, he was very interested in the Delphi. Originally this week I was going to bring Athena back in from the Delphi again, but I said no, we were trying to wait for next week because I really want to talk to people about the Trauma Transcendence Technique. So that's what's been happening with that. Okay, I'm just going to try and turn the brightness down a bit. There we go. Okay. I think my computer updated, so I had some issues with my camera. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started. And again, I'll keep you guys updated of when Michael Sala and I will be doing that podcast together. It's going to be fun. All right. Now we do have a donation question here from EUM142, and it is for Adronis. So I'll just go ahead and read it out here. Hello, EUM142. Hi, Adronis. What does critical mass entail for each country to move past corrupt agendas, reaching certain percentage of ages, awaken people before Titanic sinks? That's a good way of putting it. So let me go ahead and bring Adronis in, and he'll talk a little bit more about critical mass. Okay, 1 minute. Terra Soul Star Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I'm Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. We thank you very much, EUM142, pertaining to your question regarding critical mass. Well, I understand that there are several different faculties pertaining to this. Firstly, you have to look at the critical mass seed planters. If we're looking at a population, let's say, for example, that there is a population of 10 million, that you really only need about 10% of the seed planters of that population to get the ball rolling. And that has been happening for quite a long time, country to country, all across your entire planet. There's more than enough seed, there's more than enough fertility. We would say that the entire planet has been engulfed with the necessary seed planters to make this move forward. Then again, you have the innovators. The innovators will often represent the nature of 1/3 of your own population. The innovators are the ones that are helping you to seek a new form of education. They are the truth tellers. They will tell it much more of how it is, but again, through the opposing side, these will be seen as conspiracy theorists. But they will often make up, again, utilizing the country example, 1/3 of your population, approximately. All right? Could be a little bit less, a little bit more, just depending. But 1/3 of your population will be of those ones who are starting to walk a new path. So you have the seed planters, you have the innovators, then you have, shall we say, the supporters of the innovators. And that can make up approximately half the amount of your population, where the supporters are again being the messengers. We could call them supporters, we could call them messengers, but they are the messengers to the innovators. Now, the seed planters are truly the ones that are actually helping to create the innovators. And then the innovators come out and then they start sharing it because they're almost like the disciples, as it were, relating to the nature of the seed planters. The seed planters will do their own efforts, but they're much more in that sense of working in the dark. They're a little bit more nonchalant. But then you have the innovators, as we stated, and they are much more vocal. They are much more active. And then you have the supporters that want to support the innovators. The supporters, and again, acting as the messengers for the innovators, taking up about half the population of this country in our example. Then finally, you go into the state of critical mass, where critical mass is taking place about 2/3 the majority of that country. 2/3 majority of that country reaching critical mass from the seed planters, from the innovators, and through the supporters that are generating this a lot further. And now your country, once it reaches into about a 2/3 majority where there is that type of population, enters critical mass. Some of you aren't there yet. All right? Some of you are getting there. Depends on the country. The United States is already there. All right? The United Kingdom is almost there. Canada, not quite. Needs a little bit more time. Australia is there. Germany is there. All right. Japan is nearly there. So it just depends in regards to how your country is doing. We know we have many of you saying, oh, Jonas, what about my country? What about my country? What about my country? What about Sweden? What about Switzerland? What about India? India is already there. What about Switzerland? Needs a bit more time. What about Sweden? Needs a bit more time. So again, all of these countries, some of them have hit critical mass already. Some of them need a little bit more time. They're getting there. They're getting very, very close. We would say many of the countries that we mentioned are very much on the cusp of getting to critical mass, but they're not quite there yet. When you know a country has entered critical mass, your leadership changes. Your leadership changes, your people are changing, and they will completely stand together with the truth. They are not going to continue to live in a life full of lies. And a country that does that is just on the brink of critical mass, but they're not quite there yet. They're almost about to reach that 2/3 majority, but they're not quite there yet. If we're looking at your entire planet and giving an estimation about how many countries, or just looking at the Earth as a whole, to which humanity itself has reached critical mass, country to country, we would estimate between 40 to 55%. All right, we're saying that because we're giving a bit of a window for things to occur within the next few months, up to 1 year. So about a 40 to 55% of this critical mass is in soup. Once you get up to 55% of the planet Earth and its human population in a 55% critical mass, this world is going to change for the better. But again, this is the window between that 40 to 55%. If we're looking at the middle, it's basically in that sense a needle that's fluctuating and going a little bit more closer towards, shall we say, the 47, 48% capacity. But once you get up to that 55% window, very different world. Which means that the mass of the world that goes into that 55%, and especially in time, starts to go up to 60, starts to go up to 65, 66, 67. Well, there's your 2/3 majority. And that is where you are at a point of no return when it comes to critical mass. So you basically have already reached a point of no return going back into 2020 and 2021, where you're going on to different trains. That represents a certain timeline momentum. But what's being talked about here pertaining to critical mass is that you want to reach that 2/3 majority globally. And that is something that I feel you will move more towards within the next few years. As you get closer to early 2030s, we will say approximately. We would have to check in at that time, but it is very likely at that time that this can take place. But even if you're just going to that 50 to 55% threshold, very, very different type of planet. And you're pretty much already there. You're doing well. This needs to happen in the way because humanity has been going through a bombardment, a blitzkrieg of these conditioned programs to try and keep you at bay, to try and keep you submissive, to try to keep you obedient. And that's breaking. We're seeing the glass break. We're seeing the glass shatter. And this is an old veil that is collapsing. It's going to need more time for it to collapse. We know a lot of you would just love to have us say, just snap your fingers and it's done. Doesn't work that way. For many of you who are already awake, stop waiting for the world to wake up. Work on yourselves. Harmonize yourself. Start to do your inner work. That's where you need to be right now. If you're still angry and you're still upset and you want to fight and all of that, you are not going to be an efficient seed planter or innovator or supporter towards that critical mass. You won't even be on that list because you're still basically in the state of the normies, as it were. It's not about staying angry and feeling that you require this system in order for you to live. You don't. It's a support system, but it's not a necessity for you to live. For you to live involves this. This here is just a support system. It's good when the support system is healthy, yes. But what's more important than the external support system is yourself. Make yourself healthy. Make yourself well. This is why Brad has this. And that's what you should all be looking at, whether it's the course, whether it's the book. Because this is something very important that can help you along with that process. So please consider that. But to answer your question, EUM 142, critical mass often occurs when you get close to the 2/3 majority of that particular country. And of course, 2/3 majority is where you look at, shall we say, a massive critical mass, which is even bigger. And you're getting to those points. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay, very good. So very good question, UM142. Thank you very much for that. And yes, that is, again, crucial, is being able to work together with your inner being. Okay, and I cannot emphasize that enough. You know, guys, I talk about it every single time I come on the air, right? Some people say, Brad, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? If you're a first timer, I understand that, right? Welcome to the channel if you are a first timer and you're asking that question. If you've constantly tuned in a multitude of times and you're still asking me that, you are hesitating for something, okay? Something is causing you to hesitate because I keep giving you the same answer. And it's the same answer. I don't have another answer to give you. Go within. Heal yourself. Trauma Transcendence Technique. White Light Breath. My free practices that are on my playlist on this YouTube channel. Go get them. Take care of it, right? Like I said, the outside world, as Adronis aptly put it, is a support system. There's some importance there, but it's not as important as this. Going in here, sanitizing yourself, healing yourself, harmonizing yourself. That is paramount to do here in this lifetime. That's why you're here. It's about the inner journey, not the outer one. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I think we have one more question, one more donation-based question here from Open Contact. Hi, Jonas. Can you give the true definition of a warrior and how one tells if they are one in their lifetime? Okay. Well, Adronis can. I'm just going to give this a bit as a footnote or a disclaimer. Okay. One person's definition should not be yours. Okay. So even though Adronis gives a perspective about that, you don't have to take it because he's mentioned what a warrior is in that way. But that again is, as we've always said, when he comes through, this is our perspective, our point of view. Okay. So we're only giving a perspective of a warrior. Some person may have a completely different perspective of what a warrior is, and that's fine, right? Because they live it in that form of definition. So I just want you all to be aware of that, right? I don't have all the answers. Adronis doesn't have all the answers. We are giving you a perspective. If it's a perspective that works for you, great. Take the ball and run with it. Otherwise, be valid in regards to what you decide to define if it benefits you. Okay? There's the footnote. Let's go ahead now and bring Adronis in, and he can talk about the nature of the warrior. Okay? Just from his culture, from his perspective. Here we go. We thank you very much, Open Contact, for your question about the definition from our perspective of a warrior. Well, first of all, you have to look at how you phrase the word, because we don't use that word from our civilization, but the meaning is very similar. But let's look at it in your perspective. W-A-R. What does that represent? Well, there's combat, there's fighting, there's a struggle, there's resistance, all right? But then you also have R-I-O-R, warrior, warrior, rior. Let's look at the I-O-R part of warrior, taking out the other R. So again, that I-O-R is the embodiment, is the solution to ending war. It's the embodiment of the solution to the end of war. The warrior exists to end war. There you have it. The warrior exists to end war. Now, where this can be the idea of physical manifestation, where you have armies, where you have armadas, where you have soldiers, where you have combative forms of techniques, you have guns, you have, again, martial armies facing off with one another. That is a physical war, and that is still valid, yes, because there is physical war on your planet, and there are warriors. Why are those warriors there? To try to end the war. That's the nature of the warrior. But then you also have warriors within your modern society. You have warriors who are teachers. You have warriors who are engineers. You have warriors who are mechanics. You have warriors who are politicians. You have warriors who are your everyday craftsmen or craftwomen. Because what they're doing is they're trying to put an end to something. They're doing the work so that they can conclude their day. There's a lot of richness that comes together with that. But at the end of the day, they clock out. They're done. They finished their time. Now it's time to go into a state of rest. It is to commit to action, to bring about a certain result. It is to end the war of confusion. It is to end the war of ignorance. That is why the task is being performed. If you knew that you were going to do a task that could never end, would you do it? Many of you would say no. I'm doing this work because I want it to bring about a fulfillment to me. I want to better myself with it. I want to transcend something, precisely. That's a warrior. So from our particular perspective, when you're looking at that word warrior and what we have defined it as, how we see it, well, it's more like seeing it as light than the idea of a word. It's more like a configuration of number. It represents the idea of resolve. It's another similar word that we could say, is that here's an issue that is swelling. We come upon it and we look into it and we resolve it so it no longer swells. It is to put an end to a problem. That is how we would define it. To put an end to a problem. A facilitator who is going in to put an end to a problem. There you go. That's what we can share pertaining to what you define as the warrior, to what we would more aptly say is the definition of a problem solver. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay. Wonderful. And that is exactly how I see a warrior too. So it can be, right? If you feel like you're in a martial arts class and you feel yourself a warrior, well, what is it that a martial artist is doing when they have an opponent? They want to put an end to the fight. They want to put an end to the fight. They want to be the solutionist. Sometimes when you look at the ancient masters or even some of the wise masters of today, they won't even budge. They're just in their stance. And if their opponent is truly wise, they'll just be in their stance as well. And they'll be there, perhaps for a considerable amount of time, before everything that represents the problem is therefore expunged. And now they're just bowing to each other. They didn't have to move anything. They were able to resolve everything through presence. That's the greatest warrior. Okay? It's a problem solver. It's one who is able to go into the heart of the problem, resolve it, and the problem ceases. And now there is harmony. There is a warrior for you. All right, so hope that helps you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on a little bit further. I think those are the two donation-based questions I got. So let's go into looking at Samar's question. Are we looking at some sort of flooding in India this year? Okay, let me go ahead and tune into India and seeing if we're going to see some flooding there. Possibly, okay, but I don't think it's going to be, a horrifying situation that way. But India is actually looking to, they're kind of like there's a bullseye on it, right? So like I said, this whole situation with India and Pakistan would not last, okay? But there certainly are attacks on India that are looking to happen, okay? If I'm looking at that from the Akashic records, I'm getting the feeling that there's a possibility. I don't think it's heavy, but I'm just going to look into the tarot at the same time pertaining to India about flooding, if any flooding is looking to happen this year, 2025 for India. Okay, so what I'm getting here is, like I said, it kind of feels like there is a bullseye on India right now, okay? In the past, like I said, there's just been this attempt to try and go to war with India. There's been a lot of attempts to try and separate India, and that is all part of, like I said, mercenaries, right? A lot of these particular offshoot states that become their own countries, such as Pakistan, for example, are basically merc centers. They're merc utopias, so to speak. A lot of them involve criminals, right? There's a lot of seedy criminal underbelly in a place like Pakistan, okay? And a lot of these are rebels, mercenaries, hired goons, so to speak, to start wars. Okay, so exactly what's been happening with Israel as well too. They've had so many different forms of proxy armies between Palestine and between Israel, right? And a lot of this is not from the will of the people at all. It's through merc groups. It's through armies. It's through military. It's through funded proxy armies that are trying to maintain the chaos so that they can move forward in different aspects of their plans. Okay, and that's exactly what they've been trying to do with India. But the good news is there's so much protection with India, it's not going to lead to any major disaster. Okay, so floods to a certain degree. There may be some displacement coming together, but the heart of India is so strong, right? That's the spiritual capital of our entire planet. Right? And it has so much strength behind it, it would never lead into a loss of India. Okay, but yes, I do feel that there could be some flooding in certain areas. But like I said, I don't feel it's a major disaster. But I feel like some areas of India could get hit with floods as we move further into the year. But like I said, India is steadfast. It is strong. And like I said, if we also start to gather and group together and you start working with guided meditations, you can avert it altogether. As I've said, we've done that. We've done that with hurricanes. We've done that with tornadoes. We've done that with tsunamis, right? We've done that with volcanoes. We've done it. And it's just a matter of getting together, finding the people who want to meditate on India, and joining those groups, right? If you're also very concerned about the health and well-being of your country because you're not too sure where it is, you need to go find your clique. You need to go find your people, right? Start talking to people, find out where these meditation groups are, join with them. It makes a difference. We've proven it on our channel here, right? And I'm happy to do those on occasion, but like I said, there are much bigger channels that have a lot more people than what I have that are doing this daily, right? Like right now, there's only a little over 100 of you that's watching this right now. And I got a subscriber count of 73,000 people. So there you have it, right? Maybe a lot of them are bots or something, I don't know. But nonetheless, there are such really large channels, and you can see it in the live that there's thousands of people on. They go and they do the guided meditation, and it's like a light is just shining down upon their country afterwards. Okay, and that is what I suggest you all do, is you start working with the ancient sciences rather than all this modern stuff. Go into what has worked and what has stood the test of time, the power of consciousness. That's the key. Okay, thank you, Samar, for your question. Okay. Okay, this one here is from Didar Singh. Didar asks, I don't think I need to bring Jonas in because he's already talked about this in the past. How do we preserve semen? It's basically semen retention in marriage. Well, that depends in regards to your situation. Do you want to have children, right? If you want to have children in marriage, you wouldn't really need to do that. Okay, but if you're doing semen retention when you're getting married, you know, I would ask, why are you getting married? Right? If you're starting to get older right? And you're maybe talking to the wife about this and saying that you want to retain your semen a lot more. She should be an encourager of that. Okay, it's not about you trying to sneak away and trying to feel like you need to do semen retention when your wife isn't knowing about this. This is where, again, there's partnership involved, right? But Adronis has often said that if you're looking to retain semen, the number one thing you should be doing is transmuting your sexual energy. Okay, give your sexual energy to your organs. Give your sexual energy to the spine. Give your sexual energy to the chakras. Give your sexual energy to the brain. Give your sexual energy to your feelings. Okay? Utilize that power of sexual energy and make it a transmuter. It's very simple to do. So what you're doing is as soon as you feel that urge of that sexual fire, so to speak, you go into meditation, you start doing Rachaka Pranayama, you start doing alternate nostril breathing, get into the subtle state of being, right? Work together with dorsal and vagal complex, work with the vagus nerve, stimulating it, okay? 3 signs that you are in the subtle state of being, okay? Number 1 is your breath is starting to get a little bit more shallower after you're doing your breath work. Number 2 is your pupils are dilating. Number 3, increased saliva production in the mouth. Okay, if you've noticed those 3 things, where your breath feels a little bit more shallow, your pupils are dilated, and the saliva in your mouth is more increased. Okay, increased saliva production. You are now knowing that you are in the subtle state of being. Okay, you are in the low idle state. As you're in the low idle state, tune into that sexual fire, and then just start brushing the fire upwards, just like this. Okay, so you start right at the pubic bone and brush it up, right? You can brush it up and move it to the left, brush it up and move it to the right, brush it up and move it up to center, okay? And just keep brushing it up. What you could also do is you could do something that is a version of the microcosmic orbit, where you may just take one hand on the navel, take the other hand, and you're just moving up like this, and you're orbiting the sexual energy through a type of microcosmic orbit. Okay, this is very, very helpful, which means you're in that low idle state. Okay, you're in that subtle state of being. My left hand is on my navel. My right hand is just moving up, right up past the pubic bone, going up, going the back of the head, and forward. And as I'm doing this, I am nourishing the channels in my body. I'm nourishing the meridians. I'm nourishing the chakra centers, just as I'm doing this. And I'm nourishing my entire body with sexual energy. Okay? This is sexual alchemy. This is what I say, my friend. You need to start working with the inner work. You need to start working with the inner systems. This is what's going to rejuvenate you. You'll never really have that sexual desire again. If you keep doing it this way, you transmute the energy, because there's only 2 things you can do with that energy. Number 1, release it. Number 2, transmute it. By releasing it, there you go. Ignoring it is not an option, right? That's like taking lightning in a bottle, putting a cork in it, and thinking that you're going to hold it there while the lightning's bouncing around. Eventually, the glass is going to shatter. Okay? You don't cork your sexuality. If you do that, it's going to build up more and more and more, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. Okay? It can lead to all kinds of side effects. It can lead to all kinds of problems. Your emotions start swelling up, right? Your feelings start swelling up. Your mentality start swelling up, and it just leads into an outburst. Okay? If you try to contain a very powerful energy like that, and you keep trying to ignore it, it's going to build up, it's going to explode, and there's going to be a public scene. Okay? That's not going to be good for you. That's not going to be good for anybody else that's around you. Right? And so, like I said, we get that horniness, right? You feel horny and all that stuff. No, I got all this sexual energy. Well, then you transmute it. Rather than trying to release it, thinking that you need to have self-pleasure time or pleasure with the wife or the partner or anything of that nature, right? Is you start transmuting it. Okay, brushing it up, Go into the low idle state and just start brushing it up your body. Start working with the microcosmic orbit. Start flowing the sexual energy throughout your entire body. Your body is a circuit. It will take that energy and it will distribute it properly to every area that needs it. That sexual energy is your cure pertaining to the fountain of youth. If you know how to channel your sexual energy every single day, you can take years off your physical appearance. I've done this. I've demonstrated a youth body for 30 days. Just working with that. It's not even so much just with sexual energy. It's just a matter of taking a thought and holding it. Right? But you can also do it with this. And you can demonstrate that. And you can start reversing your age. You can start curing diseases that are within your body because you're working with your sexual energy as the primer. This is all taught in internal sexual alchemy. In Taoist alchemy, they use this. In yoga, they use this as well too, right? Different facets of yoga utilize this. This is all about harnessing your sexual energy and curing everything. Everything can be cured. You got a lung problem? Cure it. Right? You got a throat problem, cure it. You got a headache, you got a migraine, cure it. Work with your sexual energy. Men and women. Okay? Men and women can both do this. We're not talking about, of course, semen retention with men, but just working with your sexual energy. Women can work with their sexual energy as well too. Do the orbit. Right? Hand on the navel. Right hand from the pubic bone, moving it up. Moving up right, moving up center, moving up left. Feel it ingraining into your organs. Feel it compacting directly into your organs as you're moving it up the body. You can even go up and start massaging it in clockwise. Massage it in clockwise to areas of your body as you're working with the sexual energy. You're going to make yourself into an immortal, basically, if you keep doing that every single day. You will have no problems in your body whatsoever because that's how powerful sexual energy is. But you have to know how to harness it. And that's why you go into the subtle state of being. That's why you start working. It's like Kundalini, right? You're flowing Kundalini into the body. As you move the hand up, the Kundalini, the sexual energy, starts working together with you. And you're massaging it in. You start doing the orbit. The Kundalini is working with you as you work with the orbit. It does not matter if you've already had a Kundalini activation or not. You're still working with Kundalini as it moves through your body. Sexual energy and Kundalini are one and the same. Okay? So that's what you're doing. You're learning how to move that energy through the body harmoniously, right? Just functioning as a guide, not trying to control it, but just moving it up, encouraging it to flow into areas. Because what you're doing is you're taking that sexual energy and you're distributing it through the circuitry of your body. Okay? It's a wonderful thing. And that's helping you with inner self alchemy. So I hope that answers your question. Keep working with that. You'll no longer have an urge to even have sex, right? It completely cleans it out. I've done it, right? There's times where I've had a lot of that sexual drive, right? And I just start doing this, and the sexual energy is just being distributed, and it feels like my whole body is vibrating. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling, right? And you do it, and you don't have any desire for that sexual energy anymore. It's been completely transmuted because you're putting it into your organs, you're putting it into your bodily systems, you're putting it into your energy field, you're putting it into your feelings, you're putting it into your thought structure. Everything's getting charged with Kundalini. It's beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, Gijo Matthew asked me, Brad, what are your thoughts on the new Pope? So this is really just my own personal opinion. I don't know. I don't know the guy, so I couldn't really tell you. All I know is that he's American, that they've had some particular disputes between Trump and so forth. But it's basically, as I said, that whoever the new Pope would be, that they're going to be playing a different role, right? And I feel that he is going to be a revealer of a lot of the stuff of the secrets of the Vatican, right? I think he might be a disclosure type Pope in that particular way. But again, I would never trust a Pope anyways, because they're all just built on lies. The Vatican itself was entirely founded on lies, right? So, like I said, whether they're bringing in a messenger or something of that nature, I don't really care. But the whole idea is Vatican is nothing but a fake city. Everything about it is fake. Everything about it is just covered in blood, right? So who cares? Who cares about the Pope? But to me, it feels like that's what they're trying to do, right? They feel like they're going to reveal a lot of stuff. You know, the best thing for the Vatican is for it to not even exist, is to basically just let people go into the vaults, pull out everything that they got, bring it back to the welfare of the people. They start doing that, then maybe there's a little bit of credibility there. But the Vatican was built on bloodshed. It was built on lies. It is a bloodshed institution. So why would I care what they do, right? And the whole idea is the best thing that they could do for that is end the lies, because they have done nothing but poison billions of people's minds across this planet for so many generations. There is nothing redeemable about them, right? And so even if they have a spokesperson that's trying to do that, who cares? You want to really be redeemable? Clear up this mess, clear up your lies, because you are built on lies. The great masters of this world have never ever taught anybody in the way that these liars have. And you look at the entire nature of the Vatican, full of liars. Nothing but liars, nothing but manipulation, nothing but, you know, sexual traffic circles, nothing but anything else but that. It's horrifying, right? So why would I care what they do? Why would anybody care what they do? Unless they're actually going to start spilling the beans about who they are, I couldn't give a shit about them. So there you go. There's my answer to that. Okay, let's move on further. Okay, Open Contact says the RAYD8 app won't work on my phone or laptop. I'm not sure why. I don't know. That sounds like an internal problem, because the app itself works fine. The browser app works fine. It might just be a problem with your devices. Maybe get it looked at. I can't really offer tech support with that, but it's still running. Everything's good on that end. Hi, Brad and Andronis. What is the higher purpose of manga or anime? Storytelling, right? It's storytelling through art. It's no more different than how if you're looking at a film. I mean, I do art myself, right? If I look at point one of my pictures here, what's the purpose of me making that? Tell a story. I tell a story through the paintings. I tell a story through anime. I tell a story through manga, right? I'm developing the Adept Chronicles, okay? And that's based on manga and anime and all that. And I find that's a good medium to share my story, right? I don't really care if I draw it. I don't really care if I AI generate it. I couldn't care less. What matters is that I tell the story. I have a platform to tell the story, right? So it's an artistic expression of how we tell stories. There you go. There's the answer, right? An artistic way of how we decide to tell stories, because the style of it complements the story that we're trying to tell. Okay? So if you decide that you want to move into a higher purpose and talk about maybe a great metaphysical journey, and you decide that manga and anime is a good way to do it, then great. It helps, it supports the story that you're telling. And I can't say anything else more than that, right? It's art. So we all just use art in the best way that we can. Even when I'm working with etherics, right? A lot of this stuff is art, right? Because I feel like that's the best configuration for what I want to convey when it comes to healing work. And I use the art aspect, right? When we look at the healing code cards over here, when we look at the wall array, right? Beautiful art that I'm utilizing in regards to the nature of healing. I could use something else, but it fits the configuration of what I want to do and what I want to tell. Same thing with manga and anime. I love manga and anime, of course, but nothing's better or worse than the other, right? They're all just platforms to help us understand a story that we want to tell. Okay, there you go. Okay. Yeah, guys, anything in regards to poke questions I can't take. Sorry, guys. There's just too much censoring on my channel whenever I've talked about it. I've nearly had videos pulled down because of those particular type of questions. So I'm going to have to pull off any particular questions pertaining to pokes and inoculations. Okay, I would suggest that you ask me those questions in private. Okay? As much as I'd love to share it on this channel, I've had so many close calls with YouTube, almost wanting to pull my channel down because I've talked about topics like that. Okay, so guys, you have to remember we have censorship. Okay, so if it's really important for you, ask me privately. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Okay, but I'm not going to go into those questions. Okay, just not in public, anyways. If I'm on like Rumble or something like that, it's okay. then probably, but just not through YouTube. And I'm not on Rumble right now. Okay, so this one here is from Jan. Jan says, "Hi Brad, can Adronis talk about if the new Himalayan magnetic field has moved to South America?" No, that's not how magnetic fields work. Okay. Now, basically, if we're looking at a Himalayan magnetic field, right, if we're looking at the power of the Himalayas, right, for a magnetic field to move all the way down to South Africa, right, you are looking at an incredible amount of charge. Now, for a magnetic field to propel itself into that particular type of intensity, you're looking at world events that need to configure itself with that type of magnetism, right? Which means you're looking at all kinds of earth changes that would represent the power of a magnetic field going into that particular type of level. And if I'm tuning into the Himalayas right now, they've always had a very strong, potent energy, but I don't see them going all the way down to South Africa. No. Okay. So I'm not too sure where you got that idea, but from what I can tell, even if I'm tuning into Adronis, just asking, he's like, no, there's nothing about that magnetic field going down to South Africa. Okay, that's first of all, that's not how magnetic fields work. Secondly, we'd be looking into expansion, and for you to have that particular type of charge, there needs to be events that corroborate that particular type of charge, which is noticeable, and that's not what's happening right now. Okay, so the Himalayas are powerful, but they're not generating their magnetic field to go all the way down to South Africa. Okay, so that's what I can share about it. Okay, how are we on time here? We're almost out of time, so I think we're going to take one last question here. Someone's asked me about Codename Rando. I haven't had that guy around for many years. I honestly have an open contact with him, NP, and it doesn't work that way of feeling that you can just pull this person in. This is a living being, right? With Codename Rando, you have to have some conversational aspects with such a being if you haven't talked to them in quite some time. It's like when I had to talk to Adronis. I had to talk to him again to bring him back in, right? I don't control these entities, NP. It does not work that way. They're not at my beck and call where I can order them around and then just have them in, okay? So a few years ago, I had a particular entity that came in that named themselves Codename Randall. I believe this was in 2017 or something like that. And he came in for a few transmissions. After that, I just never heard from him again, right? And it's not just that I can pull him out of the blue, right? That's like me going to a relative and just grabbing him and saying, get over here, right? You can't do it, okay? So it doesn't work that way, NP, right? I would have to try and reestablish contact with him, and I'm not willing to do that right now, okay? I haven't really felt the pull to recontact him. I appreciate the stuff that he talked about a while back, but this is not entertainment, my friends, okay? This is communication, and it doesn't work that way. You have to reestablish communication, and I've had no honest pull to do that with him again, okay? I just enjoyed his web messages when he was here. Simple as that. Okay, one last question. Let's see. Okay, I think we'll end with David of Shields' question here, but it's kind of a big question, but we're going to kind of summarize it, right? And the reason why I don't bring Adronis in for certain questions, my friends, is because he's been asked these questions. David, your question has been asked many times with Adronis, and I'm just giving you kind of like the elevator version here of what's going on. Ask Adronis why humanity has been manipulated by the forces of darkness since the dawn of time. They haven't been manipulated by forces since the dawn of time. They have been manipulated by forces because they've been trying to grow themselves too quickly by having too much power bestowed upon them before they were able to utilize it properly. Humanity has not been manipulated since the dawn of time. The early years of humanity were very much a pristine age. But it's when they started getting a lot more of this technology. It's when we had a lot of these visitors coming down, so quote unquote the gods, that were coming down, that were teaching too much stuff to humanity and giving humanity too much stuff and basically putting them into their divine kinship far too sooner than when they were allowed to grow. So a lot of this has been based upon premature violations coming together. These particular types of students who claim themselves to be God coming down to humanity, to many different kingdoms, and offering all these things to humanity far too quickly. And humanity, again, kind of being like a spoiled brat, right, who would not get consequences for their actions, led to the idea of many eras of destruction, such as what we see with Atlantis, right? And then we'd have other civilizations trying to work off that karmic debt. And here we are today, attempting to work off that karmic debt. So it has not been something that has been through the dawn of time of humanity. Through the dawn of time of humanity, we certainly had a much more loving age. There was much more unity consciousness on the planet. The women came first, the men came second, right? And that's really the whole role of everything. And then there was unification coming together, but like I said, we had interference. We had interference coming together and just trying to praise humanity. You're the gods, and here's what you can do, and here's all this technology for you, and here's how we can appoint kings. Everything in regards to kings and queens were not originally of human design. We were bred to start putting those together, right? Because that's what a lot of other civilizations do, is they would have monarchies. Monarchies was never really a human concept. It's something that we learned. It's something that we initiated, just like we were taught language, like we were taught arithmetic. We were taught about the science of numbers. We were taught all of these things, but a lot of it came too quickly. And because it came too quickly, we were not disciplined enough to handle it, and this led to wars. It's like having two little kids, and they're fighting over this new truck, and they're pulling themselves to the ground, they're punching each other because they want to get that new toy. Well, that's a good analogy about what's happened to humanity. We are extremely young. We're a young civilization, my friends. We're not ancient. We are young. We're younglings, okay? We're really no more different than teeny boppers. And that's what's happened, is that we've been fighting over toys. All these toys that have been given to us because so many civilizations saw what we would become. Some of them did it in naivety. Some of them did it in regards to sabotage. And it's a mixture of the two, right? Because we'd see what these humans can do and how powerful they are and how wonderful they are. Is, yeah, but you need to give them time to evolve. And you don't give them a chance to evolve, they're going to want to kill each other. Because they have all these technologies from their gods that they don't know how to use, but they love it and they want to cherish it. And this kingdom should have it. Oh, this kingdom should have it. And this kingdom should have it. And it's a tug of war. And now it leads to fighting. And now it leads to death. And now that starts to expand because there's nobody coming in to tell these human beings that they're wrong in what they're doing until we start getting messengers. Until we start getting world teachers coming in and helping to teach the population to get out of that mindset. And that's what we've done century after century, civilization after civilization, is bringing in the wise teachers. Whether you have Yeshua, whether you have Buddha, whether you have Krishna, right? Whether you have whoever else you want to put in there, okay? Mahavatar Babaji, etc. Having these great teachers coming in and helping to lead the way to get humanity out of this, this pit fight, you could say, of us fighting for our resources and fighting for what the gods have given us and thinking that we have the rights and that we control the entire universe based upon ego and just keep destroying each other, right? So this is exactly why there's always going to be those scales. Those scales will always work to balance themselves. And even if there's the slightest little nudge that scale is trying to move, in comes a world teacher. In comes a major influencer. In comes many different influencers that help to balance the scales. Always will happen. And that will happen way after you and I are gone. For many generations ahead, the earth is not going anywhere pertaining to destruction. She will carry on. There are many other civilizations after us that is going to be living on Earth well after we start migrating throughout the entire universe, because we're going to find other worlds. We're going to be part of a much more grander plan where we live on other worlds, where we educate other civilizations, where we're helping other civilizations so that they don't do what we did. We become parents. We become grandparents to other civilizations, to other Earth-like worlds, to other worlds where we go to in this galaxy and in other galaxies and in other dimensions and so forth, to educate the universe. Don't do what we did. And we're going to help people with that. That's our grand future. We are universal teachers in the making. But right now we're here attempting to get things put together because we've had a hell of a past that we're trying to clean up. So humanity has not been meddled with since the dawn of time. It's only been meddled with through a certain stage of development. Okay? Makes sense, we are younglings, but why are we so slow with peace, harmony, love? You're not slow, man. This is fast. Okay? The idea of thinking that you need to be like this isn't it. When we look at how other civilizations live, because even when you look at Adronis's people, Adronis's civilization is billions of years old. Okay, guys? We have a couple 100,000 years under our belt. Adronis's people are billions of years old. Okay? When they look at us, we are accelerating so quickly. When a lot of civilizations are looking at us, do you know how amazed they are with us? Do you guys have any concept, when you actually start looking towards these ancient civilizations, how blown away they are with us? Do you know that? Because they are. They are absolutely amazed at what humanity can do. There's no other race that can do what they do. This is why I have always said for so many years, humanity really is the precious royalty. We are the most powerful organism in the entire universe. It's the human being. It's us. Why do you think there's so much effort in trying to lock down this entire star system to prevent humanity from going beyond the stars? Because that's how influential we are. That's how powerful we are. When you're looking at other human beings on this planet, you are looking at masters from realms that are far beyond anything that we can imagine. This is why there's so many different facets of humanity, of human beings on this planet that look a certain way, that act a certain way, that can carry their presence, where they can step in a room and just everyone just goes silent because this certain person steps in the room. If you truly know the mastery of the type of souls that are here in human form, you would be looking at the earth a completely different way. The nature of one's own awakening is an internal process that relates to the inner republic of the self. It is not about what I need to do to awaken myself through the opinions of millions of others. It is that nature of self-liberation. That's the realization. And these great masters that we see beyond the stars that are watching us and say, oh, don't worry, humanity's going to get it. They're going to get it. They have so much power within themselves, and the time's going to come where they're going to get out of all this funk, get out of all this stuff, and it's going to happen very quickly, and they're going to accelerate themselves, and before they know it, they come to the stars. From a chronological perspective of how long we have been on this planet compared to so many other ancient races, it has been a massive acceleration. Like I said, in 1,000,000 years, humanity can go as further as a civilization that has lived 100 million years. That's how evolved we are. That's how advanced we are. We don't know this because we're looking at all these minute things on the planet that we think is so damn important, and it doesn't mean a damn thing. The only thing that really matters is you being in here, is you expanding yourself and healing yourself and working with the support systems of life. And that's it. But we make such mountains out of molehills, and we think this is so damn important. But when you look at it from a universal perspective, it doesn't mean shit. But we think it does. What about our politicians? What about our systems? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? How about you? How about working on yourself? How about healing yourself? Because that's paramount. And then you start going throughout the world and you see where the illusions are. You can't see where the illusions are if you're so transfixed on illusions in external life. Can't be done. It's not possible. Right? It's like a person who knows nothing of magic going and see this magician for the first time, and they're blown away by all the simple parlor tricks that they do. They don't know anything about the illusion. But now they start going within themselves, they become wiser, they realize more about what the nature of the illusion is because they've resolved their own traumas. Now they go back to the magician. Oh, I see the card up your sleeve. I see the bunny in the hat. I can see what you're doing with trying to saw a woman in half in the box. It's all tricks. And that's what you do. You do it through yourself, and you see through all the illusions. Why do you think, my friends, I'm able to do what I do? I'm able to do what I do because I go in here first and then expand it. And then you teach it. to others, like what all of you are doing here today. We can do it all. We all have the capability of it. That's the power that we each have. What do I have to do to convince you to go within and develop this power? Right? I hope I don't have to do a song and dance routine. Okay? Because that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to tell everybody, and this is what I've been doing for 17 years, is saying, guys, I've done this work. I've gone in. I've healed myself. I've worked with myself. I see through the illusions. I can tell right away when someone's telling the truth and when someone's bullshitting me. I can tell that right away. I can put my hand on the tree and I can tune directly into the collective consciousness of nature. And now nature is telling me everything about itself. I can close my eyes. I do a few breaths. And now here's Adronis, and he comes through and he talks to all of you. I can go right into the records. I can go and create an ideogram. I can do that little scribble. And now I start pulling stuff from the Akasha, and I start bringing this information with you. I start studying the ancient sciences, applying that into my personal life, and seeing a greater expansion coming together. You show me one outer system that does that. It can't. Right? So this is where I'm only just being a messenger, my friends, and I'm not going to do a song and dance routine about the importance of going within, because that should be something that's known. If you're tuning into my channel, I hope that's why you're here, because it shouldn't be for any other reason. So there you go. It's to help you guys realize the true power that each of you hold. That's why I've written a book about it. Right? That's why I've made a free 10-day course about it. That's why I've made a website about it. That's why I've written other material in the past about it. Is the power that you have. You are not some feeble, tiny little thing that cannot have any possibility of self-enlightenment. Quite the opposite. You are indeed an enlightened, illumined being, but you don't know it yet because you're not going in here, and that's what's required. That's the prerequisite. So I hope that makes sense with everything I've been sharing since the time I've been on here. All right. Thank you, everybody, for all of your questions today. We will wrap it up. And again, I'll probably be doing some more videos this week, both on TikTok and on here. And again, next week, I'll be coming back and I will have Athena on with us, and she'll give some updates on the inner earth. Thank you, guys. Blessings to you all. Take care. Namaskar. May it be well. See you next week. Take care.